Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome as Para-X presents Keeping the Spirits Alive. This is a show that represents a fresh perspective into the world of paranormal investigating and related topics, and how history plays an important role in keeping the spirits alive. This is your co-host, Chip Reichenthal, and while we're preserving history one location at a time, I'm proud to introduce our host, founder of the renowned paranormal investigative team, Glory Haunt Hounds, Mr. John Tobin.
Hey, everybody.
Man. Hey.
Welcome to another exciting edition of Keeping the Spirits Alive. And boy, do we have one good show for you this week.
Very exciting edition and very special guest.
Will be on, as well as the Reverend Tim Shaw.
That's right.
Fellow Para-X alumni and one of my personal heroes and mentors, or somebody that I really look up to, and probably the main reason why I'm here on Para-X, because I always wanted a show on this station because of Reverend Tim Shaw. So I'm very, very honored to have him on this week. And we're going to do a segment that we've been doing the last few weeks before we bring in the Reverend Tim, called our Chipisms. So what I'm going to do here is introduce to you the Monday Night Delight, the what was the other thing I had for you? I had another great nickname for you. Now it's slipping my mind.
Zippy Chippy.
I don't know, the person who placed a hex on Para-X. Not really.
In a good way, of course.
Chip.
Everybody will be compelled to be positive from now on.
Here's Chippy.
Thank you, John, and thank you all. Today's Chipism is my best ghost story, one I've submitted to a nationally known website with the hopes of getting published. Today I dedicate it to our guest, the Reverend Tim Shaw, who I mentioned in last week's Chipism as one of my personal heroes. It puts spirit in a very positive light and touches on cancer, two things important to Tim. It also keeps the spirit alive of my wife's father. The story, called Chip's Ghost Story, is not about me at all, really. Just as Tim has said, his book and corresponding film entitled Please Talk With Me is not about him. The following story is absolutely true and has witnesses. It is indeed my best ghost story, although I am now quite active in the field of paranormal investigation. I doubt I will have experiences like this one again. It's not my how I got involved in the field story. It's better, actually. It details a very memorable series of encounters with my wife's father a year after his passing. For the sake of his anonymity, I'll refer to him as R. I really hit the lottery as far as in-laws go. I was accepted quite readily into my wife's family, and mutual respect never withered. My wife's dad, R., was a sweet man. He was kind, giving, patient, and noble. He was a hard worker, and he cherished his role as patriarch of his family. He didn't like doctors much, so by the time they discovered his cancer, it had spread more than a maintenance regimen would allow. He was denied his choice to stay working and providing, which was the essence of his existence, at least in his mind. Surgeries left him weak and emasculated. Little by little, his essence removed, and his will would soon follow. This beautiful, wonderful man stood quietly waiting, while illness and the medical world took from him all he ever wanted to be. As it was my wife's chance to repay all kindnesses, I had a chance to help also. He could talk to me in confidence. I was family, so it counted, but I was separated enough from his immediate family to allow him to profess weakness. He was not my patriarch, so his role as a good, strong family man was not threatened. He could share with me his true suffering and had my attentive ear, and I had his back. When time came for hospice and all those "I'll see you tomorrow, right?" questions punctuating each visit, he was absolutely mortified. He didn't want to be seen as weak at all. Out of respect, I refused to let him be seen in hospice by my wife or myself. He was entirely grateful, too. One night he realized he left some of his medicines at home. He called, and I brought them to him at the hospital so other doses wouldn't cost extra. He actually called to thank me for that around 2 a.m. He thanked me for everything. I had a pretty deep feeling it was a goodbye, a heartfelt goodbye. As much as I had earned his truest appreciation, my respecting his wishes ultimately cost my beautiful wife a chance to say her goodbyes. That left in her a void, a deep, cutting void. After having nothing left that resembled his life, R. slipped away in his sleep, perhaps within 2 hours after he called to thank me. I got a rather fulfilling, valued goodbye, while my wife, whose father it actually was, got denied. I believe that's the reason for his visit, almost a year to the day of his passing, a visit that for me erases any doubt about existence after death. It was a hot day. I was at home, my wife at work, my daughter in preschool. I was kind of napping on the couch in front of the TV. Heaven, as far as I was concerned. There was an air conditioner filling the east window about 5 feet away, cascading a cool breeze through this hot, hot day. To the west of me and my couch was a long hallway leading out of the living room to the rest of the place, including the bedrooms. In my daughter's bedroom there was a balloon, a rather storied balloon, given its time with us. We bought it at a local fair, helium-filled, with ribbons endowing its string like a beautiful bow. This balloon had to have been in its 5th day by now, and the helium no longer propelled it. It had become shrunken and limp, as if nearing its final breath. It seemed to have had enough. It was weak and refused to travel any more, except today, that is. While I was engaged in this marvelous attempted nap, the balloon had found a life of its own. It traveled out of my daughter's room, down the long corridor, straight to me. Now, I'm compelled to remind you that this weak, flaccid balloon was flowing against a strong force of air-conditioned breeze, and once it was exactly at eye level to me, it stayed there. Mind you, I was lying down when I realized this balloon was keeping still, right at my eye level, against a breeze and against all odds. I saw the oddity at hand, and I quickly rose from a lying position to a sitting one. The balloon followed in suit and adjusted to my new eye level. I lay back down, and the balloon followed, keeping exactly at eye level. I sat back up, balloon maintained eye level. I stood up, balloon, eye level. Sat down, eye level. Then something occurred to me, and I have no idea why or how, but it dawned on me quite clearly. It was R. Of all the thoughts to have, the thought that this anomaly was R was absolutely clear. To this day I don't know why, but at that moment it was as clear as the back of my hand that this was R maintaining this balloon in completely improbable fashion. I actually asked the balloon, R, if this is you, and only if this is you, show me. And the balloon, I swear to God, while at exact eye level, nodded yes, as if it were a head nodding yes. I was stunned. Not scared, not freaked really. If anything, I was elated. I continued to have the most unreal, amazing dialogue with this balloon, realizing I could only ask yes or no questions. That being said, there was a time when the balloon would seem to become invigorated when talking about something happy, or somewhat deflated when addressing something sad. There was a point where, during our conversation, my wife and daughter came home. Not wanting to move an inch, I yelled for them to come right away, that they're not going to believe what was happening, and they appeased my request, and the greatest thing happened. My wife and her father got a chance to fill the deep, gaping void that they were both left with upon his passing. They got the reunion they both needed so deeply. My daughter, oddly comfortable with the situation, got to speak with Grandpa again. Daughter failed somehow to see the oddity behind the situation and took the whole thing in stride. We all talked with this balloon for a good hour. Then something even more amazing took place. Affirmation. You know when you visit your relatives, say, for the holidays, and after a while you run out of things to catch up on, and there's this air of uncomfortable silence that seems to fill the room? Well, we had that. Regardless of the fact that we're engaged in a conversation with someone who died a year ago, we all came to the point of uncomfortable silence. We had all run out of things to say. It felt so normal. Soon after, the balloon went back to being this limp, inactive, helium-denied balloon, and my wife felt complete. Not completely, I imagine, as she still lives on without her father, but much more at peace than she had been. R, as it turns out, came for one more incredible visit about a month later. This visit lasted close to an hour and ended with the same odd yet glorious, uncomfortable silence, capping a wonderful conversation for us all. My wife and I are both active investigators these days of the paranormal. Now we have cameras, camcorders, meters, recorders, and evidence-catching equipment of all kinds. We didn't have the equipment back then to capture proof of R's visits, but we know what we saw, we know what we encountered, we know what we felt. I don't think all the hauntings in all the houses in all the world can replicate what we had shared on those 2 days. Personally, to us, we really don't need to. The most special encounter we could have asked for happened for us for very personal reasons. We still burn to find evidence, to answer questions, to tell a story, to normalize the most remarkable things of all. In our hearts, though, we already have. It is a testament to this beautiful man who lit our lives with his brilliance and did not go gentle into that good night after all. That's my kick-butt ghost story, and it goes to the core of my beliefs and my approach as an investigator. Now, my personal hero sitting next to me can introduce my personal hero who's our guest tonight. John?
Oh, Chip, thank you very much. That's a wonderful story. I do believe you told me that story once before, and every time I hear it, it's just, wow, it's moving. I love that story. That's one of my favorite ghost stories that I've heard, and speaking of great stories, the man we've got on our show tonight has got some incredible stories throughout his career in the paranormal, and I will just say that we met this particular person back in May, and throughout since then, we've joined the Para X family, and I'm proud to say that this man has become our friend. This man is a spiritualist, a medium, a paranormal investigator, an author, and really an all-around good guy.
Yes, all-around good guy.
So please, before I bring him on, real quick, before I forget it, we are going to introduce a new segment later on in the show tonight. We're going to have a segment we call our bi-weekly or bi-monthly. Every other week, we're going to have a segment called Haunt Jaunts with our former guest, Courtney Maroc, who's going to come on and tell us something really cool happening in the paranormal world that she wants to share with us. So after we're done talking to Reverend Tim, we'll have Courtney on to tell us a Haunt Jaunt of the week. So that's going to be a cool segment.
It'll be great to have her back with us, too.
Absolutely. So anyway, now that I ruined Reverend Tim's introduction, hey, Reverend Tim, how you doing?
You didn't ruin a thing, guys. It's just an honor to be with you guys, and it was, this past weekend we were all at Syracuse, and
yes,
it was just really, I felt bad that I couldn't get a chance to hang out with you guys more, but that'll be remedied, I believe, in October when we're all together up in Saratoga.
But the time we had was valued time, and that's really what counts.
Well, one thing I'll say, Reverend Tim, is, one thing that amazes me is for every footstep you take in a public place, 3 more people come and follow you to that. They flock to you
they do.
It's like a herd of sheep flocks around Reverend Tim. So, it's amazing. So I'm glad that I was walking down the aisle and there you were talking to the wonderful people from Please Talk With Me, and with open arms, literally, we talked and we spent some time talking about some different things. And you're a man that always takes time to talk to every single person that wants to talk to you, and that is commendable, my friend, and rare these days. So I must say, for a man as busy as you are with your schedule, day schedule, night schedule, everything, thank you so much for just taking the time to make everybody feel important that enters your world.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, let's face it. I mean, if you don't take the time to really press the flesh with listeners and people who read your books, these are the people that you're doing it for. I'm not one of these intrinsic writers that, I'm doing it to, expose myself to the world. No, I don't really care about myself when it comes to that. I care about the people out there that listen in and the people who read my books. And you know what? I genuinely am just so thrilled. And, for me, to have people even buy my books is amazing. I'm still like, why the heck would they like what I write? What are you, crazy? Go out there and buy something else, or why would you come and talk to me? To me, it's still, I don't know. As long as I've been doing this, it's still an amazement to me. I always felt I look at you guys and I hear your show, and you guys know that I'm a fan of you. Your show,
and that means a lot to us too.
Really, I mean, you guys came on with a quality show. You're hard hitting. You really brought in some great guests, and you talk about being out there. You guys are out there working the crowd all the time.
Well, John would tell you that I'm out there.
It's an honor just to hang out with you guys, and I really love the fact that when we were filming on Ombus, a movie that an independent movie that was being filmed here in Western
Deftone Picture Studios in Buffalo. Yes.
Yeah, and I ran into you guys again, and John and everybody up at the Buffalo Central Terminal for the Horror Paracon. It was just great. I mean, and you guys left a really great impression with me, and that's why I just think the world of you guys, and I'm just thrilled that you guys asked me on tonight.
Oh, it's a great pleasure having you. I can see how you separate yourself from, when you write the book, and you say, well, why would somebody want to read this? But as someone who read the book, well, I'll speak for myself, as I like to do. There's a good reason for it. I mean, we were reading Please Talk With Me, the book based on Krista Chesare's CD21 haunting out of SUNY at Geneseo back in 1985.
Not to be confused with the R2D2 haunting that I always want to call it for some reason, but it's not that.
He's just he loves that Star Wars stuff. But there's here on Keeping the Spirits Alive, we love to talk about history and give it a kick of cool, tying it in with paranormal investigations. But the book, the history that you covered before really getting into the meat of Krista Chesare's story was absolutely outstanding. You painted a mural of what times were from 1182 A.D. to the 1700s, the American Revolution, the Iroquois, the Senecas, and then got to the story with insight, with good detail. And again, like you said, it's not about you, but without you, I don't think it would have been written that wonderfully.
Well, I thank you so much for that, and there were two reasons why I wrote it in that way. First of all, as an amateur historian and as a paranormal investigator, I have to get back to the meat of what's going on, and I can never look at a haunting, any haunting, a house haunting, location haunting, whatever I'm working on, and just look at the surface, because in all the years that I've been doing this, I always know that there's something that leads into it. So we have to look at, for me, to start a case, I look at ground zero. I look at that ground before it was even broken by builders, to build a structure or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to see exactly if there was a catalyst, if there was one particular thing that could have fed into what Chris went through, Krista Cesare, who's in the chat room today, and yes. Mara Catrea is in the chat room, who's the director of the film. Thank you guys for being here. Yes. And it was just, it was so important to me. And the more I dug, the more I found an incredible, incredible story. And I have my definite opinions on who Tommy actually was. And I kind of lead into it in the book itself. I don't want, but I never really wanted to be too objective about it. I didn't want my opinions to overwhelm the story, because it's not my story. And the second thing that I really insisted upon, the original credit to the book, it was going to be by Krista Cesare and J. Jeff Unger. And J. Jeff Unger is the gentleman who actually wrote and kept a journal during this horrific 10-week period. Mm-hmm. And it was to be as told to, me, because it's not my story. And, and of course, as a contract writer on the project, I really, once I was doing the manuscript, I just put a suggested title on there and I passed it on. And they all felt that it was important for me to get credit for it. But I'm just a chronicler. I'm just a guy that scribbled down an incredible story. And these are the guys that it's their story. It's their, it was so amazing. And what was, I think, a big honor for me was the fact that this was an enigma to me. I had heard about it first, I think, down in the Lilydale Assembly, probably back in 1987. The 10 weeks that we cover actually happened in 1985. So I, being me, went down to Geneseo, and I tried to interview everybody. I probably took maybe 2-3 trips down there, and I could never find anybody to talk to me. And I made phone calls, and at that time we didn't have the internet that we had. So I'd write letters, nothing. And this entire project fell in my lap because Dave Jones was interviewing Chris and Mara on his show, and I sent a couple questions in, and the next thing I know, Chris contacted me, and I remember I had just had surgery and I couldn't drive, and they were having a seminar up at Geneseo College on this subject. And I called my buddy up, who's a paranormal investigator. I said, Joe, guess what's going on? And he goes, I'll drive you. I'll have coffee. I'll pick you up. Don't worry about a thing. I will take care of you,
That's what John says when I threaten to talk for a long time.
Yeah. I'll drive you. I'll bring you anywhere you want. Just shut up.
That's right. I'll drive you, man.
But it was just so amazing. And I'll tell you the story about with Chris. I mean, I sat there and I listened to him. And, you guys know I've interviewed a lot of haunted survivors. And you guys know in my work I've come across this. And I remember shaking Chris's hand and looking at him. And I said to him right out front, you've spent a lifetime researching haunted survivors and haunted and violent hauntings. Or you're the real deal. And, the vibe I got, being a medium, you can kind of read vibes and stuff. And the vibe I got off of Chris was so sincere and really so honest. And I was just floored. And then...
Yeah, he's an amazing guy. He's got this aura, this angelic aura around him.
Don't let him kid you with the angelic aura. Chris is like some little evil gnome running around. He's got energy you can't believe. He's got a mischievous side to him, but... he's just a great guy. I love him. As a matter of fact, I crashed on him and Jeff's hotel room floor Friday night because it rained so hard before I got home. I slept for a couple hours before I drove back from Syracuse.
I heard this story. I heard that Chris had told us at Syracuse that he actually thought he was being haunted again at 6 a.m. when he opened his eyes, and you were still sitting there in front of him telling your story. He thought, oh my God, it's happening again, and then he realized, no, he just fell asleep.
Exactly. See, Chip and I kind of share the same thing. We do like to talk a little bit.
Yes.
Hey, you know what's one thing that I thought of? I have to admit, when I first heard about the C2D1 haunting, I had known about it years ago, like you did, and I thought to myself, and I talked to Chris about this too, and I thought, why is it taking him so long for this story to get out there? Why after all this time is he making it so public? There's a movie, and he had been on School Spirits, and then he had you write the book to tell the companion piece for the movie. But after meeting him and speaking to him in person, I'm sure you had the same impression that, like you said, either he is just totally out there and making this stuff up, or he's the real deal. In 5-minute conversation with the guy, and you know that he is the real deal, and he certainly explains very well why it took so long for this story to come out. And I believe you feel the same way, that in 1985, when the hubbub was going on about this around the school, all kinds of rumors were going on, as it's explained in the movie, all kinds of crazy stories. You would have the picture would have been painted back then that you were just absolutely insane, and no one would have believed you. But now that there's been shows like the Black Cat Lounge that have talked about the paranormal for so long, and it's just been out more in the mainstream, that people that have had these horribly frightening and confusing and just crazy experiences are now able to actually get out there and tell the story through your words and their own words, and it's just it's great that that's able to happen. I believe movies like Please Talk With Me and books like your book, Please Talk With Me, are opening the doors for people all around the country to finally say, you know what, maybe I'm not crazy. This really did happen to me, and maybe people will listen.
Especially the way the movie painted it. I just wanted to say quickly that it's not your typical, it's not a horror movie. It's not a documentary per se. It's painted beautifully, beautiful strokes, brilliantly directed. The acting was amazing, but the story isn't scary. The story is very insightful, and it takes you in from minute one. John and I really loved the movie.
And there's one hell of a cameo at the end, too. I've had to have
Yes, we especially were touched by the cameo.
Yeah, my Chip is sitting next to me, and I'm in the back of because I had Mara Cottrea, the director, really honored me by asking me to introduce the movie at the world premiere, and I'm like one of these I'm gonna guys, I didn't expect that. So I went, after I did my bit and the movie started, I went in the back, and I'm just sitting there watching because this had been my first time seeing the entire film. Well, Chip is over there next to me, and we're talking, and and I said, I was explaining a couple things about, I think it was a torture tree or something that, and I was explaining
best interactive experience of my life, by the way, standing next to you while watching the movie.
No, it's like going to a kung fu cinema and you hear the guy going, "Watch out, he's behind you." That's me. That's me. I'm the guy that's doing that. Watch out! Oh my God! Watch out! He's got a gun. But it was funny, and all of a sudden I'm sitting there, and I was explaining something. I look up, and Chip, my mouth must have dropped. There's my face up there, and I'm explaining something. I think it was about the torture tree.
You were talking about the torture tree, but the beautiful irony was you had just said to me, this really isn't about me at all. I really wanted to take myself out of this because I really wanted Chris's story told. And it's really not about me. And I think within 30 seconds after you said that, the movie ran this little montage. They gave you a printed shout-out first, and then put a video clip of you talking. And I think the surprise in your eyes and how touched you were was so amazing. I mean, I will carry that for the rest of my life. Talk about interactive experiences.
It was so funny because I did not expect that. I really didn't. And I mean, that's a huge honor. That's a huge honor. And I mean, that brought me in as an integral part of the story. And I can't thank everybody enough. And it was so cute because Chris comes up to me later on, gives me a hug, and he goes, "I've wanted to tell you this for so long. I wanted to tell you the ending." And he didn't. And it was just, I texted my wife going, I'm in the movie. I didn't know what else to say. So I mean, I can't thank it. I can't thank the cast and crew of Please Talk With Me enough, and I can't thank the production people and Sita and everybody else. Bill Edwards, who was the producer, for the people who went out of their way to bring me in, and everybody that helped me go and give me full access to the witnesses. And what was amazing is I just signed my contract on Sunday, the previous Sunday, for the book, and I had final layout approval. So I didn't expect it. Being in a business, we all know how long it takes to get books printed and getting everything up and ready and running. And all of a sudden I walked in, and because I got there later and on Friday, and Bill presents me with the first book of the limited edition, and I didn't know what to say. I mean, it was just so great. So it was, I thought the Michigan Paracon, I thought I was like, I got pulled out of the minor leagues and put in with the majors, and it was really an honor. I loved it there. But Syracuse will now forever be ingrained in my brain, because it was just amazing. It was just an amazing weekend. And of course, the other thing that's so amazing is I get a chance to hang out with so many great people, and people that I've known for years, and but then again, I did hang out with you guys a little bit anyway. I wanted to hang out more with you guys. Hey. I felt bad that I couldn't. I couldn't break away, but I just wanted to stay kind of close to the table for a little bit. But you guys, seriously, you guys are the future of Para X. You guys have taken up the mantle and the torch. You guys raised the bar. And what's funny is because I listened to your show, and it forced me to reformat a little bit my show to keep up with you guys.
So come on. That's not true.
No, that's true. That's true.
Okay, I got to say this though: the $20 I gave you really paid off.
I'm giving you 40 for it, but when it comes to all of this that we do, I'm not. If anybody has ever come to a gallery reading that I do, and I know Chip was at one of my church services that I worked
back in the day.
I always say, part of my prayer is I am nothing but dust. And the reason why I say that is because I'm a mere reflection of all of those who listen to my words. I'm a mere reflection of spirit. I'm a mere reflection of my listeners. I'm a mere reflection of my readers. And that's the way I feel comfortable, because it's true. I mean, I never want my ego to be like, well, I'm the best, because I know I'm not the best. I just try hard, and you guys come along, and it forces me to change a little bit, and I loved it. I love it, and it's not competition. It is learning process, and that is what's so important, because in this life, if we stop learning, if we stop evolving, you might as well get in the pine box and jump in the hole, because that's what it's all about here.
Well, I just heard what you said in Cheektowaga, and I took it to heart, and John and I have.
Yeah, and I would just have to, I just have to back up what Chip says. I learn from you every week. I mean, I've only been doing this for 10 weeks now, so, we try to evolve and learn, and I've taken, I take notes from listening to your shows, and I've done that for a long time, and I have a couple questions here that I wanted to get to as well. I do want to mention that I promised a shout out to Heidi.
Oh, Heidi,
who
is
one of your biggest fans, and absolutely
from Erie, Pennsylvania.
Absolutely,
and
she's
a total sweetie too. Yep.
She actually canceled all of her personal plans to listen to the show tonight once I told her you were on. So we definitely have to give her a good shout out for that.
Yes, we do.
She's sure she did that.
Hey, Heidi, how you doing? It's not even Thursday night. We're hanging out.
It's not. She's already she gets Reverend Tim 2 nights a week, so she's excited.
Plus the weekend, best week of her life.
Absolutely, and the weekend too. And then the other thing is, I know from hearing you speak before that you grew up both Roman Catholic and spiritualist. Is that correct?
Correct. I was my spiritualist religion has been in my family since the 1880s on my father's side. However, I mean, let's face it, growing up in this neighborhood, in this area outside of Buffalo, New York, even though there were spiritualist churches, my parents thought that a parochial school education would be best for me, and I went and was brought up and went through all the rites of Roman Catholicism. And when I got old enough, I was able to go and really make a change. When I was in high school, I decided to leave the church and pursue, at that time, quote unquote, the New Age movement and so many of the other things that were out there. So I was blessed. I mean, I used to go to Sunday school. We called lyceums in Lilydale at the Spiritualist Assembly at the old Andrew Jackson Davis building. And, I was fortunate because I was really blessed because, a lot of people put down the Roman Catholic religion. And to me, that's an insult to say, well, I'm a Reformed Roman Catholic, because it doesn't matter what your religion is. It's your own spirituality that's very, very important.
Agreed.
So if you look into the Roman Catholic religion, and I've studied the life of a local blessed Monsignor who is on the fast track to becoming a saint, the Reverend Nelson Baker of Our Lady of Victory Basilica. If you go and you study the life of Roman Catholic saints, you're studying the life of mediums. So, throw out the religion, which is an organization created by man, and the only difference between the two is the deity of Christ. But we're not talking about, that there is no spirit or God or whatever you want to call it. And, the golden rule is really accepted. If you study comparative religions, I had to do that during my studies, before ordination and mediumship and stuff like that. You'll see that the golden rule is in every religion. And also there's something else that's really important, is that, like my religion, the spiritualist religion, teaches the dogma of personal responsibility, which I always say at the end of my show, don't be a self-created victim. And if you start looking at other religions, it's in there too. So it doesn't matter what our religion is. It's what is important is that you have a spiritual foundation on which you can base your life upon.
Right.
And if you have that, you'll never have a problem.
So when you decided to pursue the spiritualist religion as opposed to the Roman Catholic religion that you grew up with both, did you have some opposition from your family? I know there was both in your family. I'm assuming one side was towards one and one side towards the other. When it was clear that you were leaning towards one and over the other, did you get that opposition? Because I know the Roman Catholic, having had relatives myself that grew up Roman Catholic, it's a very they're very, very strict in their beliefs, and obviously there were some open doors there because you had both in your family. But when you leaned one way or the other, was it difficult for you to walk away from one and drift towards what your calling was?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because I think I went to my first seance when I was like 9 years old. So my parents were open to it. My mother taught me how to use a pendulum. Back then, we used to just use string and a needle for yes and no answers. I mean, so it wasn't a big stretch for me. And also, my mom wasn't a practicing Roman Catholic. She was one of those that like gave me $1 and put it in the church envelope and sent me to church on Sundays. You know,
wow.
So I mean, it was a little bit different. So I was
my mom taught me to go outside, and that's it.
But I was lucky. I was able to be able to follow my own path and decide which way I wanted to go. And something I have to tell everybody here is I stopped everything. I saw a full-bodied apparition once, and because I had worked, I had probably put about 50 hours in an isolation tank back when I was in college. Why? I don't know, because it was there. And
it's called an isolation tank, or was it a bong?
No, this was an isolation tank.
Oh,
okay. If you do an isolation tank, you'll never do a
We're
bong.
thinking statute of limitations.
Listen. You can do peyote ceremonies, and it ain't gonna match an isolation tank.
I just wanted to clarify that for the listeners. That's all.
That's why I've always wanted to be a shaman myself.
But I gave up. I gave everything up for about 10 years, and I came back to it, and I came back to it in a more mature state, and I was ready for it, and I really accepted. That's when I really delved really into the religion of spiritualism myself, and made the conscious decision that this is the way my life was going to go, and this is where I'm going to head. And I've never looked back since, and that's the truth. I've never looked back since. I've never regretted anything I've done in my life. And I've never regretted embracing the dogma and the tenets of spiritualism, because it just fits so well. And what's nice about it is the fact that it also frees me up now to go and study. And right now, my big project is I'm working on the biography of a Roman Catholic exorcist.
Ooh.
And I'm kind of brushing up on my Buddhism. So
wow.
You know, I'm really, you know, it just. The religion just keeps me going. It keeps me ever evolving. It keeps me fascinated with life in general, and that's what I do. I mean, and I'm a firm believer that it taught me that if I can try to be a decent person, and I can try to be a nice person, which my wife sometimes will shake her head at.
That's what wives do, man.
Exactly, and then she's the one that my wife Nancy's the one that keeps me grounded and keeps me on the straight and narrow, and you know, puts up with me going off in these tangents. And it's funny because in my book, Please Talk With Me, in the acknowledgments, I even say she's the one that put up with me saying, you know what, I'm going to go to Geneseo one more time.
Yep.
I'm going to take a couple more pictures. I'm going to go to Geneseo one more time. I got to walk in front of this building. Mm-hmm. I'm going to Geneseo one more time to do whatever, you know. Yep. And so I've been very, very blessed in my life with these things.
I know what you mean with the grounded thing, because you know, for years, and I've mentioned this before, how you know I look up to you as a spiritual medium. It has been my goal to kind of recapture that, but I know for a fact, thanks to my wife, that I'll never be psychic because I can't predict her moods. You know,
that's true. And I can speak.
Listen. This is mediumship 101, coming from an instructor who takes mediums and polishes them. That's my job. I don't teach usually one-on-one classes. I teach, you know, advanced classes. And my job is to bring a medium up to the level that they never thought in their lives they'd be able to achieve, to polish them like a diamond. And here's the one thing that I've learned over the years: don't even try. Your wife, just go smile, and if you've done something wrong, put your hand up, take the foul, and just. Yes, you're right, dear. Mm-hmm. You're 100%.
Yes, you can be happy or you can be right, and that's your choice.
And I'll tell you that Chip's wife definitely does have him grounded, but more in the sense we really were grounded when we were kids. You know, he's not allowed to do anything or say. He's definitely grounded, absolutely.
Yeah. We say that good-naturedly. I do love my wife very much, and she's the best thing in my life, and I just wanted to say that.
Hey, one thing I wanted to mention, Reverend Tim, is that you are actually going to be joining us in October I'm really looking forward to that. October 20th at the Saratoga County Historical Society at the Brookside Museum.
Yes.
We're going to do a presentation, Glory Hunt, myself and Chip and the rest of our team, on the Ghosts and Legends of Saratoga County. You're going to do a presentation on just all of your great experiences. We're going to leave it up to you what you talk about, but I'm sure it's going to be great.
And I'm going to cover, of course, I'm going to cover the C2D1 haunting, of course,
nice.
It's a major one. But I'm also going to go and I'm going to talk about my work at the Hinsdale House, which is another great haunting. I have personally interviewed Clara Miller, who wrote the book Echoes of a Haunting from back in the 70s when this was big news. I mean, I remember as a kid having, clippings of this in the newspapers. That's how big this was.
Yeah.
And I'm going to talk a little bit about my experiences with Dave Jones.
He's omnipresent, He's a great guy, but he seems to be everywhere.
Listen, there's God, and then there's Dave Jones, and that's the way it works. But
we could do a lot worse,
Well, you know what? I've prayed to God and I've prayed to Dave Jones, but only Dave Jones gave me a radio show. So there you go.
Don't think that God didn't have a little argument with Dave over that either. Let me tell you. But
he said, "Dave, what are you doing? You're giving this guy a show. He's going to bring Chip with him."
Listen. You guys came to Para X, and you guys did a great job. And you know what? I'm really hoping and praying that other shows can even come close to your quality. And I'm saying that in all honesty. I mean, you guys know I don't suck up to people. You guys really know that because you've seen me in action. Like, if I don't like somebody, listen, pal, I shun you. Step away from me. I don't care, But in all honesty, I mean, if other shows could use this show as a model, Para X would blow off any AM, FM radio dial in the world.
Wow.
Well, thank you, brother.
Quite an honor. Quite an honor.
A total honor for us. I mean, we're blushing.
You always leave me speechless, and I wish you could leave Chip speechless. We'll
that's not just not going to happen. Sorry.
It's not going to happen.
I'll talk about how I can't talk. That's as close as it comes.
So, hey, Reverend Tim, let people know when and where they're going to be able to get a copy of Please Talk With Me.
Yeah.
If you know this. I know it just came out limited edition here.
They should. This book rocks.
Right now, what we have is the advanced copies are just about sold out now. But I should have a case kicking around by October 1st, somewhere around that first week in October. Ooh. And you guys can just write to me at blackcatlounge1@yahoo.com or go to my website, www.theblackcatlounge.net. Make sure you put the THE in there, or else you go to a porno site. Awesome.
Right.
And,
or don't and go to the porno site.
Not the worst mistake that can happen either.
Oh, yeah. if you went and saw the girls on that one, you'd be afraid. Okay. Very afraid. You could put all those girls in one room and still not have a full set of teeth.
Oh, my God.
See, okay. John's going to love this, but now I'll shut up.
Wow, yes.
It actually works.
So, theblackcatlounge.net, right?
You can buy the book there. And
we have to the movie, too. The movie. John and I... we were with you, of course, and we've talked about this, but John and I want to see this movie nationally distributed. We want to see this movie on every movie theater and every television set or every computer in the free world, because it really was. I'm not saying this again, because... It's yours, or we're kissing up, or anything like that. It's an incredible movie. The movie was done really well. Just like I want everybody to have a copy of the book, we want everybody to be able to see this movie.
And I am hoping that you'll have some copies for sale October 20th at the Brookside Museum. Saratoga.
If I can get them, I'm going to bring them with me. The one thing I'm going to say about the movie is this: immediately after the movie, and I walked up to Mara Katrea, the director, and I said, "This is not a film. You made art."
True.
And it's not a ghost story. Everybody wants a ghost story. This is an emotional roller coaster.
It is.
It very, very true to how violent hauntings start, because, you guys, we all love Johnny Zaffis. We're all friends with him.
Yep.
And before I finished this book, I sat down with John and I said, "John, I want to go over this case with you. I want your opinion." And he agreed with me that it was a temporal possession attempt on Mr. de Cesare. Mm-hmm. And we went through it a couple times to make sure that it was right. And when I saw the movie, it starts slow and it builds and it builds and it builds. And it's so true to what actually happens. Mm-hmm. And it's amazing. And I'm going to tell you something without spoiling it. I got to say that there's not a lot of people that could have done what Chris DeCesare did.
Oh, that's true.
At his age, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Me, I don't care. I can walk up, and if I have a negative entity in a room, I can give it an FU or whatever, because I'm at that point where I just, listen, I'm not afraid of you, mm-hmm. but to be his age and have to go through what he went through
in that time period in 1985, there's nobody to talk to about it.
Oh my God! And have him, without telling you what happens, to have him get that intestinal fortitude to actually be able to, do what he did.
Yep.
Is amazing. And it's amazing. And a lot of people go, oh, well, I could do that. Well, let me tell you something. When you're in the middle of it and you've gone through the infestation stage of possession and you're well into the oppression stage, and that's where Chris was, mm-hmm. No doubt. And we all know what, I'm not a big demon guy, but I mean, in these violent hauntings, there's a definite pattern,
yeah.
And this was a classic pattern. And when you are in the middle of oppression, and you're in there, and we know that there's two end results. Usually, it's either the client goes into such stands on the abyss,
yes.
and either becomes so debased that he is ready to kill himself, or he pushes back. And mm-hmm. there's not a lot of people that can do that. And
no.
Chris was, he's a survivor, and he, and that's why I love that guy. And he's just, and he helps people, and what he does for a living helps people. And this is a guy that I look up to. I mean, I really do. And not because I wrote the book about him.
No, he's a beautiful guy like that.
Not a lot of people like him,
Yeah. Well, I do. I think you might appreciate this. I think I've actually come up with a great way to convey how good the book and the movie are in this particular case. Because when we see something, us being in the field, and we see how Hollywood approaches it, generally speaking, then what they do to Hollywoodize it brings back all these ridiculous stigmas, stereotypes, almost in some cases ridiculous, but the movie and the book are what you would expect to live through without the Hollywoodization of the process that Chris DeCesare went through in this C2D1 haunting.
If people don't realize that these violent hauntings start slowly, I can actually trace this particular haunting almost to the semester previous. That's how slowly it built. And as it built, you don't even realize it. My keys, I put my keys on my desk. All of a sudden now they're on the other side of the room. This picture must have fallen off the wall and broken. These are small things that happen. And then all of a sudden it builds and it builds and it builds and it builds. And then it makes you, you can't sleep at night. It's almost it's almost like the Manchurian Candidate. And when I at one time I did study the techniques of brainwashing. Why? Because I have no life. But anyway, I did study that, and it is so close to oppression, and that's why I think I understand what goes on with it so well. I'm not an exorcist, guys. I'm not a demonologist out there. I'm just a guy from Buffalo, New York that happens to be a medium and is a spiritualist. But I have studied a lot about it, and I've interviewed so many different people, and the techniques are very, very similar that Spirit uses, that the Korean War veterans used or experienced.
Hey, Reverend Tim, we're just about out of time. We're introducing a new segment this week called Haunt Jaunt of the Week, which we're going to bring on after a brief station break. But I want to ask you real quick, what should we be looking for on the Black Cat Lounge this upcoming Thursday?
Well, of course, we have somebody that you know and love. I have Miranda Dorfler on, and we're going to talk about her book. I can't wait for it because I have a copy of her, The Seiko Chronicles, the author's picked, and I read it, and it's terrifying. I love it. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I was always a big Stephen King type guy, you know. Mm-hmm. So I'm reading this book going, you know, I think I'm going to leave the lights on tonight.
Oh, I'm telling you, I've read Miranda's books, and she just did a story for our most recent newsletter, and the story is going to be broken up over a few different issues of our newsletter. And I'm telling you, I got to the end of it, and I'm mad at her now because I have to wait for the rest of it. So she's going to be a great guest for you on the show Thursday.
I really can't wait. And you know, when you introduced me to her in Buffalo at the Horror Paracon, I was like. You know, because I love fiction, you know, but I'm so, because of what I do, I'm so enmeshed in nonfiction. She is so cute. She is just such a pleasant person, and I'm thinking to myself,
for a scary girl,
this is the type of person that I should be scared of because she's just so nice. And
you gotta look out for those types.
Yeah. Still waters running deep.
Stuff, so that's going to be a great show. That'll be Thursday night, 8:00 here, right on Para X on the Black Cat Lounge with Reverend Tim Shaw. And, of course, you'll get an awesome drink out of that show, too, which I do every week, too.
Yeah, me too. And I don't drink, but I do for the Black Cat Lounge.
That said, it's been a great pleasure to have you on the show with us this week. Thank you so much.
Yes,
I could talk to you for hours and hours and hours. We definitely want to have you back on again, so we certainly will do that.
I hope we can do that.
Anytime, guys. I look forward to seeing you guys in Saratoga in October.
Absolutely.
And I want everybody to come out and visit because it's going to a great cause. And you guys know that I'm big into historic preservation and historic causes. So this is one of them. So guys, come on out, get the information from these guys, and you know what? You come on out, and I'll give you like a free like shake of the hand, pat on the head, and I'll put my hands on top of your head, and I'll give you a healing.
There you go.
Yeah. Heidi will be there then.
Heidi will definitely. You put her hands on Heidi's head, she'll definitely be there.
Grabbing your wallet. So that's the way we've already got it ready to go.
All right, Reverend Tim Shaw, thank you so much for joining us this week, and we will talk to you again very, very soon.
We love you, brother. Thank you.
Thanks. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
All right, that was Reverend Tim Shaw. We're going to take a really, really quick station break. We'll be back with the Haunt Jaunt of the Week.
Yes, with Courtney Maroc.
Hi, this is Jason Hawes, and you're listening to Keeping the Spirits Alive with John and Chip on the Para-X Radio Network.
Whether you're listening at home, at work, or anywhere, thanks for making Para-X part of your day. Your source for everything paranormal. Para-X.
All right, folks, I told you it was going to be a very, very brief station break, and it indeed was.
That was cool.
We are going to get in touch with our Haunt Jaunt of the Week, a brand new segment that Chip will tell you about real quick.
Yeah, very excited about it because we have with us Courtney Maroc with the hauntjaunts.net website. That's probably the best website for that combines travel and paranormal industry together, and we're very excited to have her with us.
Hey, Courtney, are you there? Oh, no. Hey, Courtney, I'm leaving you an answering machine message. I'm not sure why. Let me try again.
As far as guests go, her voicemail rocks.
It does.
Can you hear me?
Oh, there you go. All right. Welcome, Courtney Maroc, to the show from hauntjaunts.net. Hey, Courtney, how are you? Welcome. We're going to do this on a regular basis, and I want to thank you so much for joining us. And we're really excited because I love your website, and I loved having you on the air. So why don't you quickly tell the folks, what is the Haunt Jaunt of the Week?
The Haunt Jaunt of the Week, can I squeeze in about 5? It seems like this week, you guys, as I was listening to your show and you were talking about Syracuse, it got me to thinking that this month, September, the end of it, well, all of it so far, has been like Paracon and ScareCon month. I would think that might happen in October, but maybe everybody's so busy. So I'll start really quick. On the 22nd, there's a haunted history investigation of the Stone Meeting House in Remsen, New York. That's up by you guys. Am I pronouncing that right?
I believe it is Remsen, yes. Yep.
Remsen. So, and that's going to benefit the Historical Society, Remsen Steuben? I don't know if I'm saying that right. But I always like to give, shout outs like Reverend Tim was just saying. Big fan of preservation. And I pardon my voice, I do believe I'm coming down with a cold. This has been a crazy day. So
it's that time of year, really. 'Tis the season to be sneezing.
Today.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
No, I feel fine. I just sound crazy, or I think I sound crazy. But then there's also going to be down in Pensacola, Florida, on 9/22, the Pensacola Paracon.
Ooh.
So,
and who's going to be at the Pensacola Paracon? Do we have any names for that? Or
yes. Hold on, my computer's a little slow.
I have a computer like that.
And I have a brain like that, so the two are not working good together. There's going to be, well, paranormal investigation.
Paranormal people.
Here we go. No, I don't have any names. I'm sorry.
That's all right. I bet you lots of cool names in the paranormal. You know what we can do is tell the folks where they can find some more information on these great events.
Okay, you can find it in two places. I have it on my site, hauntjaunts.net. If you click on the paranormal events page, you'll find a list of them there, and they all link up to the direct sites. Or you can go to PensacolaParacon.webs.com to find that one.
Very cool.
And then there's also Scarefest. That's in Lexington, Kentucky.
Ooh.
That is going to be... Oh, wait. Oh, yeah. On 9/28, or 9/28 to 9/30. And then in Gordonsville, Virginia, and Scarefest, I know, is going to have, I think, a lot of the same people that were at your Scarecuse.
Absolutely.
Did you guys meet Kane?
Kane Hodder? Yep, we met Kane Hodder. And
I think he's going to be there, and gosh, you name it from the paranormal investigation world. I think Patty, what's her name? Is it Patty Starr?
Okay.
She'll be there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I'm so ill prepared today. I apologize. And then on 9/28, there's going to be Paracon at the Exchange in Gordonsville, Virginia. That's the same time as Scarefest, so they're going to be kind of competing, I believe, for...
Well, one's in Virginia and one's in Kentucky, so, you know, if you can't get to one, you can go to the other's options.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's good to have options.
going to do it again.
Yeah, there you go.
So that's, I'm trying to figure out if it's pretty much, looks more like local people.
Yeah.
At the Virginia.
Those are great events to go and see the newest gear and talk, your different stories and exchange paranormal ideas. It all comes down to trying to promote some of the unity in the paranormal community, and some of these Paracons are a great place to do that.
And because Virginia is for lovers, if I remember correctly.
Absolutely.
Yes, and I think they even have a Virginia is for haunters.
Hunters.
They're one of the good
Hunters or
states that
haunters?
promote
Haunters.
Haunters. Virginia's for haunters.
See, they get cooler as time goes on. They've gone from lovers to haunters. I mean, how can you beat that?
So every other week, folks, we will have Courtney on, and every other week she will have a Haunt Jaunt, which will be either a cool event coming up, or in this case, a cool several events coming up, or a particular location that she's either visited or wants to visit. And she is the personal paranormal travel guru for HauntJaunts.net.
She is the tops in the nation, and it gives us all an excuse to get away from home or run away from your relatives and have some paranormal fun.
Get up out of your seat and go out and do something. Paranormal fun. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Courtney, thank you so much for joining us this week. We'll bring you on again a week after next, and we'll have some more Haunt Jaunts. Tell everybody where they can find their information on Haunt Jaunts.
Okay, it's find it at www.hauntjaunts.net, and you can look under paranormal events just for the events.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
that about wraps
guys.
up the time we've got for this week. We'll talk to you soon, Courtney.
Okay, bye-bye.
Have a good night. Bye-bye. Wow. Everybody, that just about wraps up another show. Can you
really
believe it?
Does. That's a full show, and what a great time we had this hour. Wow.
Absolutely. So thanks so much for joining us for keeping the spirits alive. We'll see you next week, where we're going to have another great guest. Stay tuned for The Shadows, followed by Dark Sun Rising, and through Blue Topaz, easy for me to say, right here on the Para X
Thanks
Radio
for joining us
Network.
on Keeping the Spirits Alive. Good night, everybody.